Hi, my name is Aicha, and today I am chatting with the wonderful Jennifer Lopez about your new film, Atlas. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Firstly, I want to say congratulations. The film is incredible. I did watch it, and I must say it's an emotional roller coaster and quite explosive.
It's a big action movie with a kind of a love story. And if you could have a love
Yes.
between a human and an AI.
Can we talk about what makes a powerful female lead?
I mean, it's a lot of different things. I think the best thing to have is them to be very complicated and not to be just,
Mm,
kind of the normal, heroic, perfect person, You want
yes,
somebody who's flawed, who's struggling, who has their own issues, who has, just that is very human. And I think in this
exactly.
story in particular, it's important that you see the difference between Smith, who's an AI, and this very human type of person who is not perfect but has great intentions.
And I feel like that's what makes the character Atlas so relatable in the film. You always tend to be really hands-on with the projects that you do, you from your music to film. How involved were you in the creation of Atlas alongside the director Brad Payton?
We really worked in kind of partnership, especially on the character Atlas. Obviously, it's kind of a one-woman show for a long time with me and kind of the voice of Smith. And
Yes.
so, we really collaborated on how we felt she was and what her backstory was. And, I left all the kind of effects and everything to him. I was like, okay, where
Of
am I?
course.
What am I doing right now? Because the whole thing was kind of done on green screen. So
Yes.
it required a lot of imagination and it required a director, thank God, and Brad, who was able to like really have every single beat mapped out perfectly. So I knew exactly where I was in every moment.
You touched on the green screen element. What was it like being in the green screen yourself? I imagine it was the crew and just you. What was that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, it was a very kind of intimate thing, right? Because I'm inside of that kind of like Smith's head. And then I have like three or four cameras pointing at me very close, like only like a foot away, sometimes 2 feet away. And so it was very intimate. Yeah, that's a perfect word for it. And but also being on the green screen, like you said, it was just kind of that little crew doing that and everybody kind of off in Video Village watching from far. And but we were like a little tight crew. I got very kind of familiar with the camera guys.
Was there a lot of stunt work involved?
There was some. I think Simu had more of it than I do.
What would you have to do to get into the mental headspace and also physically? Because there's a lot of demanding fight scenes as well.
Yeah, it's funny because it's actually Smith fighting. I mean, I'm kind of doing
Yeah.
this.
You are in there going like,
Kind of like trying to direct him a bit. But
hmm,
let's do this. And when they start moving in sync, it's really kind of special. I think it was more Smith than me.
to more mentally get into the zone and then let Smith do the work.
That's the thing. That was a challenging part of the role for me, is kind of like staying on 150 adrenaline all the time, this
Yes.
death situation, but not really being able to move, but kind of like in a 2 foot stage, you know?
Yes. Was there anything that you did like meditation beforehand or like a little jump?
Get myself worked up in different ways. Sometimes you kind of jump up and down or kind of get your breath going or things like
Yes.
that to kind of get you in the right kind of mental and emotional headspace.
As most of the world, I am also a huge fan of your film work. One of my favorite films has to be The Cell, and you
Thank you.
seem to be very drawn to sci-fi and thrillers. Where does
You
this
know,
interest come from?
Well, it's funny. That was the only other sci-fi movie I think I've done. I don't think I've done
Hmm.
any other besides that. So
Hmm.
it was this Atlas and The Cell. So, maybe I just need to do more. I really do enjoy it.
You seem to be juggling a lot of projects. Is there any tips or tricks that you have for us who are trying to increase our productivity? Like, how do you manage all that?
It's funny. I get that question a lot, and I guess it
Hmm.
does seem like I do a lot, and I do. But for me, I have this way of kind of compartmentalizing what I'm doing at the moment and not letting everything else infiltrate that and kind of drawing really good boundaries. Like, right now I'm doing this. I can get to that later. You
Yes.
have to kind of learn how to say no. Like, no, I
Oh,
can't do that right now. I'll do that in a minute. I promise I'll get to it. And I promise I understand what the priorities are. And you get better at it as you go along, I think.
100%. I really appreciate that. That's such a great tip. And talking about that, as you learn how to command yourself and find your space in the world, what part of yourself do you see in Atlas?
That she's very kind of in touch in a way, with expressing her emotion. I'm the type of person who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I think she is the same way, for better or for worse for Atlas, because she's very angry and kind of frustrated with everybody and kind of yelling in the wind all the time. Like, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
I'm not so much that person, but I think the fact that she has all these emotions and she's not afraid to kind of get angry or get upset. And I'm the type of person who I don't like doing things like that. So we're the same and very different.
So what do you feel like your fans can take away from this film?
First of all, I want them to be entertained. When I sit down to watch a movie, I want to be entertained. I want it to be good. I want it to be, I'm just like, oh my God, I love that. Maybe I want to shed a tear. I definitely want to laugh. And I definitely want to be awed by, like, if it's a action movie like this, by the action and stuff like that. And I think that they can expect that from Atlas for sure.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.